Welcome to the Graybeard Chronicles podcast. Your hosts, Brian Halstead and Kevin Harkins, are two gray-bearded patriots who love God, their family and friends, and their country. The Graybeards are here to inspire, inform, and educate you on a myriad of topics they are passionate about. Brian and Kevin have a strong desire to share this with you to help you live your best life. Sit back and enjoy this amazing podcast as the Graybeards pass along the wisdom of the ages.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Graybeard Chronicles. I'm Brian Halstead.
And I'm Kevin Harkins.
And Kevin, we're here to pass along some wisdom of the ages. What the heck does that mean?
We're not perfect, but we do have gray beards. And that means we've got some significant life experience, some life lessons, and some perspectives that are worthy of passing along.
Well, I think that sums it up nicely. Let's get to it. Kevin, what is going on, man? Nice to see you.
Nice to see you as well. Welcome back into town.
Yes, back in the hood. We are not back in the same space yet, but I'm definitely back in the hood.
We'll get there. We'll get there. And it's December.
I know.
It is December.
Like where has 2022 gone?
It is gone. They're starting to play all the best songs of the year on the radio, all the best movies of the year on the TV, all that kind of stuff. All the Christmas stuff has started. It's in full swing.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, what's interesting is, we were just down south for a little while, and my wife said this numerous times that the South does Christmas better than we do up here. They're way more into it. Like the stores have a larger variety of things, and it's just I think they have a greater amount of Christmas spirit down there, believe it or not.
Okay.
I don't know if I said that out loud. I said we were down south, but Georgia is where we were, South Georgia.
And is it a fairly large metropolitan area or not quite so much?
This place and metropolitan area would not be mentioned in the same sentence. No.
Got it. Well, actually, that makes sense.
It is the country. Very much.
The reason I say that it makes sense that would be kind of more Christmassy is because in the larger metropolitan areas, there's more of a mix of people from different backgrounds and so they tend to say Happy Holidays rather than Merry Christmas. I'm thinking.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
but it's like that in other places, in the South. I just think the South has a better grasp of the holiday spirit. That's
okay. All right.
So, and we could learn from that. So,
yeah, we could do it right. That's it. Do it right.
Yes, indeed.
Well, what are we talking about tonight, Bryant?
Well, we're talking about humility and the importance thereof. Simple, one-word topic, humility.
Do you remember why? That's a great topic, by the way. Do you remember what it was that caused you to want to talk about this? Because I know sometimes you come up with topics and then you don't actually. What was it that happened that made me think of this?
For me, it wasn't any particular incident. This kind of goes back to that exercise that I did where I was writing out a bunch of different topics that we could use for shorter episodes.
Right.
And this is one of the ones that made the list because I think it's a characteristic, a quality that is not as prevalent and as valued in our society as it should be. And I think it's something that's worth talking about because it really, many people will view it as a weakness or a sign of low self-esteem, when in fact it's actually the polar opposite of that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. I think that people who are truly humble and have the attribute of humility in their lives actually have more self-control because they may have every reason to be large and in charge or boastful, or I hate to say arrogant because I just don't like that word, but I mean, people who are very highly accomplished or have very significant authority and responsibility, and they don't come across that way.
Right.
It's that really stands out. and it makes an impression. Just think about that. Think about the impression that you have when you see people that are truly humble, and what you walk away with in terms of impressions that have every reason to not be humble.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I mean, what is humility to you? What does it mean to you?
Humility to me means not arrogant, not haughty, not pumping up their self-importance, a spirit of deference to the other, that person is not superior, respectful. Those are some phrases to me that represent humility.
Yeah.
How about you?
So for me, it's really a way of being, right? So kind of an understanding that you're not all that, and I don't mean that in a negative way.
Right.
I just mean that you're not the how's the best way to say this? Yeah, I think that is what I said. You're not all that, and understand that you have your and to borrow a phrase from you, your warts and hairs, right?
Yeah.
And
Right.
your imperfections and things you don't know, and don't feel inferior because you don't know things. Own that, right? Don't try to BS people and act like you do, and because that you just give yourself away. But be humble, right? And show that or practice that art of humility, and just own the fact that I just don't I don't understand this, or I don't get this, or I'm not really well versed in this particular subject. And don't be afraid to say that. That's not a sign of weakness. That's actually a sign of strength.
I completely agree. And there are a number of people who pop to mind when I think about this issue of humility. And one of the people that and a very good friend of mine and a friend of yours, Jeff Rouse. Here's a guy who is a 3-time Olympic gold medalist, world record holder repeatedly, dominated the sport in his event for 8 years. And if ever there was a guy that had every right to be arrogant and proud and cocky, and it's him. And from the day that I met him until this very day, when you meet him, he's a person who exudes humility.
Right.
He's kind, he's nice, he's helpful, he's not arrogant. I mean, it's just
if you didn't know those things about him, those accomplishments that he's had, you wouldn't know, because he's not walking around with a sign, and he's not going to tell you about it.
Right.
And
right.
I think those are excellent examples.
Yeah, I think that everybody ought to have at least think seriously about kind of having a guiding principle in their lives and the way they live to be humble. I think they seriously ought to consider that, because there are some very significant benefits to being humble. And as a leader, when the people that work for you see your humility, you're more approachable, you're more well-liked. And not that the goal should be more well-liked, but the goal should be you can be a more effective leader as a result.
Right.
Because you're coming across in a way that's more approachable and not arrogant. And that's very powerful.
Yeah. Yeah, I think people that I'm gonna go out on a limb here and make kind of a broad statement, but I think that that people practicing the art of humility have the opportunity to learn more things than people who are not, because they're operating from a place of curiosity, and
Ooh, that's a great point.
Understanding that they don't know, and you don't know what you don't know, and how do you find out more? Well, you operate from a base of curiosity.
Yeah. And also with that comes respect for others. Absolutely. Yeah, because they want to learn from them. It's really a great point. More helpful, more understanding. Yeah. I like that.
And I think it's important to utilize humility in the leadership space, the workspace. Especially when we're talking about the way, and this may be taking this off on a tangent, and that's okay. The way that we conduct interviews, job interviews, etc. Oftentimes they're very tactile, if you will, where it's just, if that's the right word, I think maybe we'll see. But it's very matter of fact and following a resume and looking at, accomplishments and so on. And I don't think that people take the time to really listen to the person and get their story and understand who they are, because I think that's important, more important than the accomplishments and so on. I think it's important to understand who you're dealing with, who this person is, who they are at their core, what are their characteristics, et cetera.
You bet. You bet. Absolutely. There's another aspect to this humility thing that I think is also important, and you'll be able to relate to it. Everybody will immediately. When you have these people that are in your world, and somebody will go, they'll come back from a weekend and they'll have had a very nice experience, or very enlightening, or something really cool happened, or they just have a great story and they want to tell it. And they do. And there's always, or often, this person who has to, oh, you think that's good? Wait to hear my story, and they want to one up them all the time, rather than allowing these people to have their moment in the spotlight. Humble people don't do that. Allow people to have their moment of glory, their moment of appreciation, their moment of their win, or their really cool experience that they want to tell you about, and just be still, be quiet. Yeah. Allow them to bask in that moment, and just let them have it. Don't feel like you got to one up them. I think that's a very classy thing to do.
Yeah, that's a great example. And I know that I've caught myself in situations where I've done that and I've realized it. And okay. It wasn't from a position of wanting to one up. It was just more of a position of wanting to share, an experience that I had. And after I did it, I'm thinking to myself, I probably should have just kept that to myself. Because it does kind of come across as that one-upsmanship.
Yeah.
It wasn't intended to be that way, but I've certainly, caught myself doing that in a scenario before, and not a good way to show up. So yeah, have the awareness and that, be tuned in to who you are, how you operate, and how you respond to things. And when you catch yourself doing stuff like that, don't beat yourself up. Just log that so you can do it differently next time.
Yeah, there you go. You still do it, but do it differently next time, or do it later or something, tell the story. Right. But yeah, allow them to bask. People can really see, and when they see it, I think they truly respect humility in others. They really do. And I know anybody who's listening to this right now, and they think about the people that they consider truly, honestly humble, not fake. They're not faking it. And that's another thing that people sniff out in a pair of seconds. False humility.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
You just, you leave with a very favorable impression of those kinds of people. And it gives you, again, not that anybody should be striving, to be well liked, but that's what happens. You are well liked, and that leads to respect, and that leads to further understanding, and so on and so on. So it's really good. It's very powerful.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. So, and it is a practice, right? So I've used that word several times, the practice of humility. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's something that you master. I don't think it's something that, just you all of a sudden can check the box and say, oh, I'm done. I'm a humble person. That's not the way that works. It's an ongoing thing, and it's a mindset, and it's a practice that you have to be conscious of on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm. And if you do make the conscious decision to make it kind of a guiding principle in your life that you are going to live a life of humility, then you'll get better and better at it. And it's a worthy pursuit, in my view. Absolutely.
Very cool. Well, I appreciate you sharing that information, and I think it's a cool topic, something to talk about.
Yeah, you bet. You bet.
Something that we should all be talking about, and something that should be more valued in our society. there's, we could just make a list of all the things that, that aren't valued in our society anymore that used to be, and where we've, lost as a result. And that's definitely one of them.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks for the topic. It was wonderful.
You are welcome, sir.
Yeah.
So remember, be humble, practice that humility.
That's right.
All right. It's time for me to reach over here and hit this button, right?
Do your thing.
There we go. No matter who you are, where you are, what you're doing, make sure between this podcast and the next, you take time
to enjoy the ride.
We'll see if that worked out.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Graybeard Chronicles. Please subscribe so you'll receive notification when new episodes are available. To learn more about the Graybeards, visit their website, graybeardchronicles.com.